You're listening to Your Magical Midlife, the podcast for women 40 and up. I'm Kate Higgins. I'm a licensed clinical social worker turned coach, and I'm here to be your guide, your friend, and your mentor. I'm here to light your way into your most magical midlife. Let's dive in. Wiley Women is a wellness brand that wants you to live your best midlife. Developed by a naturopath, they offer tinctures, supplements, and drink mixes. Wiley uses plant medicine and clinical studies to demystify and embrace the hormonal powers and hidden complexities of grown women from the inside. Female formulated and female founded. Plus, they offer free shipping and easy returns. I love the Unworried tincture, which has bacopa, holy basil, passion flower, and reishi. It helps calm my body and stops the spinouts. It reduces jitters and lightens my mood. Go to www.wileywomen.com and use code KATEH2O at checkout to get 20% off. That's www.wileywomen.com and use code KATEH2O for 20% off. Welcome back to Your Magical Midlife. I'm recording this on the eve of my 53rd birthday. And what I want to talk about today is just how weird it is to age and how no one really talks about how weird it is to get older and how unexpected and surprising and disorienting and destabilizing it can feel as every year goes by and the number ticks up and you think about the number and then you think about where you are in your life, and sometimes it just does not all match up. And admittedly, I've lived a fairly unconventional life. I didn't get married and I didn't have children, and I lived this sort of extended adolescence in New York City, working in nightclubs and getting late to the graduate degree and chasing around inappropriate men, or mainly one inappropriate man who I now live with, but it took a long, long time, and it was very inappropriate for a long time, and having all kinds of adventures and starting to do burlesque when I was 38 years old, and I don't know, just all the things that you're supposed to do were not in my grasp, or I just didn't get to them, or I honestly don't even really know what happened, except I had a lot of fun and now I'm 53. It's just so strange because hopefully you can relate to this. When I look in the mirror, I'm a little startled because I don't look how old I know I am, or at least I don't think that the woman in the mirror matches up with being 53. The parts of me that do feel 53 are my knees, my hips, my back, my feet. Those things all feel increasingly crappy. I am a lifetime exerciser. I've always worked out. And when I leave for my long walk in the morning, everything hurts. It is such a bummer. The other day I was thinking, like, either I need to start investing in real, appropriate, expensive, well-made running shoes and not cheap ones I get on Amazon. I can't be wearing $30 sneakers anymore if I want to be able to continue walking like this, because everything just feels like kind of janky, kind of crappy. The first half an hour of my walk is I'm like relatively stiffened up and things are just not moving the way I want them to. Things are certainly not moving the way they moved when I was 25. When I was 25, I was working in nightclubs and dancing all night in 6-inch platform shoes and then walking home on the concrete sidewalk and going down the subway steps and then going up the subway steps and then walking like the additional 10 blocks to my apartment. Often pretty intoxicated. And maybe it hurt back then and I just didn't feel it because I was so drunk. I'm not sure. But now I feel like all the abuse that I put on my body with inappropriate, cheap shoes that I bought at Joyce Leslie or wherever, some cheap store. And all those years of just literally pounding the pavement have paid off or caught up to me. I'm so grateful that I never took up smoking because I feel like that is probably one of the things that attributes to my relative good health at 53. I'm very lucky in that the only medication I am on now is hormone replacement because I am post-hysterectomy and now postmenopausal, which is also such an uncomfortable thing for me to think about, conceptualize, identify with, even though that's the work that I want to be doing in the world. I want to be working with women 45 and up who are either struggling with perimenopause and menopause or are through it and still sort of shaking out their new identity, who they are now, what their life is going to look like now, what their joys are now, what their goals are now, what lights them up now in this second half of life. Because we're not our mother, right? When my mom was 53, my mom was done. She had raised her children. We were both out of the house. She was working as a nurse, but she was winding down in her nursing career. And she was settled into her, I feel like it's a betrayal for me to say it this way, but she was settled into a fairly unhappy life. And she didn't see a way that she could have made it different for herself or better. I think that she felt very trapped in her marriage to my dad. My dad is a very difficult person, very demanding, very needy, very controlling, and very rageful. So I think that she didn't feel that she could leave for whatever reason, or she chose to stay for whatever reason. She's deceased now, so I can't really get that answer out of her. But she certainly wasn't looking for more or believing that there was more for her. And I really deeply believe that there's more out there. And I believe that even at the advanced age of 53 years old, there is more out there for me. And I believe that there is more out there for you. It's kind of crazy how we cut ourselves off when we get to a certain age, because society tells us that you should have this and you should have that and you should be settled and you should be just sort of on cruise control from the time you're about 45 until whenever you die. You should just be on this cruise control, just sliding along, just moving along until you can retire from your job and then maybe go on a couple of Carnival cruises and then, I don't know, go into the retirement home. And I say this over and over and over again, but that is definitely not what I want. And if you're listening to this and you are someone who is an out-of-the-box thinker, I'm sure that's not what you want for yourself either. Even if you've lived a conventional life, even if you've hit all the milestones and you got married at 25 and you had your 2 or 3 kids and you bought your first house before you were 30 and you were settled into your career and you did this and that and the other thing and you did all the right things. I think our generation, I think us Gen Xers, we know on some level that there is more to life than retirement and Carnival cruises and early bird specials. I think that we are not going to go so quietly into that. What is that quote? We're not going to go gently into that good night. We're going to rage against the light. I don't know. I think I'm done with raging. I think my raging days are over. But I certainly don't want to just pack up my joy and pack all my desires into a suitcase and put them in the attic and tell myself like it's too late for me to pursue dreams. 2023 was crazy in that I took a voluntary severance from my safe and secure, well, not so safe because they had a massive layoff, but I was not laid off. I took a layoff. I was supposed to stay, and then I thought to myself, I can't do this job anymore. This job is squishing me. It's squashing me. I'm not getting anywhere. It's not making me happy. I could sit at this desk and type for another 10 years and then maybe retire. Or I could cash out, place all the chips on myself, and jump into this great unknown, which is what I decided to do. And I'm not going to lie, there are definitely times my eyes pop open in the middle of the night and I can't believe that I walked away from that job. And it is crazy. But the reason why I walked away from that job was because this is what I want to be doing. I want to be podcasting. I want to be working one-to-one with women in their 40s and 50s. And as I get older, my clients will get older because I am still gaining wisdom of what it means to be an aging woman. And I'm really hoping that I can help people in a real way. And I'm hoping that I can connect to people in a real way. And I want to lead the most transformative retreats. I want to give all of myself to helping women uncover their deepest desires and refusing to put those desires on a shelf and say someday. Because someday, it's today, guys. Someday is today. You aren't done. You still have time. There's still so much to do. There are still so many adventures to have. There's still so much to learn. I am still learning every single day. I'm learning about being a partner. I'm learning about being a friend. I'm learning about being self-employed. I'm learning some real basic shit that probably some of you have mastered in your 20s, like what to do if your water heater breaks. Because I bought my first house at 48 years old. I am a late bloomer. And if you think that you bloomed already, I bet you have a second bloom in you. I don't think there's any such thing as someone who bloomed in their early 20s and then has to live the rest of their life living a life of drab servitude towards a job or the day-to-day drudgery. Let's snap out of the day-to-day drudgery and really continue to make gains, continue to explore, continue to learn, continue to strive, continue to make your life better. Because we're probably statistically going to live to be 85. That's the prediction from the World Health Organization of people of our generation, women of our generation are going to live to their mid-80s. So that means I have at least another 30 years. At least. And that's a long time. 30 years ago, I was 23 years old. I was lost. I was scared. I was confused. I was unsteady on my feet. I was unsteady with my identity. I was going from thing to thing to thing, trying to figure out who I was and what I liked and what I wanted to do. And now I'm in a different stage of, I definitely don't feel unsteady. I was about to say a different stage of unsteadiness, but that's not true. I feel very, very sure and very certain of what I want to be doing. But I know that I need to be braver and I need to walk forward boldly into everything that I want to be doing with my life. And I want to help you do that too. So if you follow me on Instagram, give me a like, give me a comment, and send me a DM of the kind of topics that you would like to see me talk about. Give me a clue about how I could best serve you, because we're all walking together and we're all navigating this new concept of aging and aging well. I really do think that we can age differently. I really do think that it doesn't have to be pudding and a retirement home. It doesn't have to be maybe you'll get Social Security or maybe not. Maybe the government's going to run out of money and then what? It doesn't have to be the way our parents did it. We haven't done anything the way our parents did it. We broke the mold, and now it's time to figure out what we're going to do with this exciting opportunity to age however we want to age. And that's what's exciting. So on my birthday, this is going to be released the day after my birthday, I am going to put on my favorite dress and I am going to sit in the sunshine and I'm going to vision and dream and really map out what 2024 is going to look like. And I am so excited. I am so excited to serve and help and dream with you. And I hope that you're excited to dream with me. Now, let's pull a card for this episode. I didn't pull a card last week because I had recorded basically on the side of the highway in Harrisburg after a challenging Christmas with my challenging father. And so I definitely want to pull a card for this episode. And the card for this episode is, the Nine of Pentacles. The Nine of Pentacles is all about being satisfied. It's about the life that you built for yourself and looking around and appreciating the garden that you have tended to, appreciating the flowers that you have planted, standing in appreciation of everything that you've worked for. And I think that that is the perfect card for this episode. And I will see you next week. Thanks as always for listening to this podcast. I appreciate you. Thanks again for listening to Your Magical Midlife. I'm Kate Higgins, your host. You can follow me on Instagram at Your Magical Midlife. You can check out my offerings on my website, www.yourmagicalmidlife.com. I offer one-to-one coaching, group coaching, retreats, a blog, and this podcast. Please remember to like, rate, and review to keep me in those algorithms. Have a great week. See you soon.